It's whatever, baby. It's whatever, baby. It's whatever.
Welcome to another great, wonderful day at Whatever by Hektek by yours truly, me. I am glad to start expanding for season 3. I told y'all we're going to do stuff a little bit differently. We're not always going to have adult stars on here. We're going to have people that have actual. Okay, I was going to fuck up for a second. Not actual skills, but people that have, certain different trades that we might be interested in, right? All right. So this young lady, she reached out to me and she said, "Hey, I would love to be a guest on your show." So I was like, "Bet, let's run it." So I'm gonna go ahead and bring her in and then let her introduce herself and we're gonna get it started. All right. So go ahead and introduce yourself and tell the people at home what it is that you do.
Well, hello everyone. My name is Stacey Gray. Um, I'm kind of a jill of all trades. I'm a business coach. I do taxes, bookkeeping, all of the money stuff. I have a vegan cosmetics line called the Jill Collection. Yeah, so as far as being a business coach, I just try to tell people the right things to do and how to save, how to budget, how to start businesses properly, because I realize, especially on the internet, there's a lot of false information. Like all you need is the EIN number and you get 50,000. It doesn't work that way.
No, trust me, or else I would have been got that 50,000 and
I would have been a millionaire on my yacht right now. So it doesn't
yeah.
work that
No,
way.
especially like for me, I remember during COVID,
Those
mad people were
PPP
doing these
loans.
TP. Oh my! And I legit went because someone told me, "Oh, I got what woo 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 woo." So I'm like, I bet I do have an actual business. This is
Yeah,
when I was heavily into my photography and stuff like that. So I'm like,
right.
yo, I can't be outside like that. So I have a legit, and buying
Mm-hmm.
equipment, all that. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
the government was like, we good off of you. So shoe fly shoe. And I was like, so
Yeah.
how are these other people that have no legit, what I would consider businesses, are
Right.
getting stupid money?
I know people who were just like they just dug up an old LLC that they forgot about, and they're like, okay, let me say this business is up and running, and that's how they were getting the money. Literally.
It was disheartening. It was very because like I see what
Yeah.
a lot of people say when if I do stuff the right way, this
Right.
is what happens. Versus if I do stuff
Right.
the messed up way, it seemed like those are the people that are
Right.
getting everything
Right.
handed to them. So what do you
No,
tell
it
people
wasn't
like
that. It
that?
was
That
uh-huh.
what I mean, they want to do the stuff the right way, but they always keep getting the door slammed in their face.
Well, I mean, for me, clients that I work with, I always try to be transparent. And what I always tell people is whether it's through, one-on-one coaching or also through my podcast, Stacey Talks Money podcast, I try to tell people the right information. And I always tell people anything I'm showing anyone or training them on, I've done it myself. I would never tell someone to do something that I feel is illegal or not legit. Like I do it by the book. And you have to do it by the book. That's the only way you're going to get things done. Like, I had a young lady come to me once and she wanted me to coach her, and she's like, can you get me $1 million in business credit in 3 months? I said, I cannot do that. I said, I can't do that. Maybe somebody else can, but I can't. And don't you know, she came back to me, but I refused her business because it's not worth it to me, because she's a problematic client.
Client, yeah. So what's a signal to you of a problematic client?
A client who wants things done overnight. I let them know it takes a process. It's not going to be done overnight. To just build your business credit takes at least 90 days to 6 months, roughly, to build your business credit. It's not an overnight thing. It's not anybody
Okay.
telling you they could do it overnight or you could use these CPN numbers. No, that's not how I do things.
Right.
That's
So
not how I do it.
where are you from? Because I'm hearing a little.
Uh-oh.
I mean, I'm hearing a little not northern. I know northern ish, but I'm hearing a different dialect.
I'm from Brooklyn. My background is Trinidadian.
Oh, a Trini. Okay.
I try to hide
ah,
it.
you try to hide it? Nah, 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 nah. So for you that don't know, I am of Antiguan blood, but
Okay.
born in the Virgin Islands.
Oh, okay, okay. Check you out. All right.
So when you started talking, I was like, wait, this ain't a northern. Isn't a typical New Yorker accent.
I
It's
get
a
that all the
blend.
time. I get that all the time. People can't believe they're like, you're American. I'm like, yeah. They're like, you sound. I'm like, well, I don't know. I can't
Uh,
explain.
right. All right. So what? How did you get started? Like, what was it for you that got you into this path?
This whole path. Okay. Well, first I started out as a certified medical billing coder about over 20 years ago. So that's where my love of numbers and business. Then I trickled down into the whole tax field about 2007. And then
Mhm.
I put the two together. I'm like, I'm doing tax, personal taxes, I'm doing business taxes. Then I'm saying, wait a minute, when you're a business, you get to write off so many things. Then, really, about 5 years ago, I really branched off into the business coaching because I'm like, these are things that I do for people for free. I help them get a
Mhm.
business bank account. I help them build their business credit. I'm helping them getting loans, how to get different kind of investors, microloans, angel investors. All of these different things I was helping people to do for free.
Mm.
Business formation, things like that. And I'm like, wait a minute, I'm doing all of these things for free. And then I realized, hey, I'm a business coach, and that's where I went from there.
Okay. So how does one define a business coach?
I would say for me, someone who can coach you from the start, the middle to the finish. Some coaches just only coach you like, let's say if you just want to throw around ideas, they may not necessarily know everything, but like for me, I can start you off from your formation. I can help you do your LLC, if you want to do a C Corp or S Corp, then I help you with the bookkeeping. Then I help you on the back end, getting the credit. Some coaches just kind of technically coach you if you get stuck along the way. But I consider myself like a full cycle coach because I can do it from start, middle to finish. And I work with a
Oh,
lot of businesses who are like, even in their midpoint or they're starting over. That's where I
mm.
kind of come in and think I'm not using business credit. That's where I start them with the whole how to use their, other people's money. And that's pretty
Nah,
much how.
so I heard a saying, you're
Mhm.
not truly in business till you're not using your money.
Correct. You should not use your money. You should not commingle. I see it every day with taxes. People are using their personal bank account for that is a no-no. I don't care if it's something you bought for a penny. That should be coming out of your business bank account.
Okay. So
Because
what
that's
would
how the
you say?
IRS looks at it. That's how the IRS looks at it. If you're not doing a legitimate business and it's not coming out of a business account, you have no proper processing service, you can't use Cash App and say it's a business because it's not. You have to use some
Mm,
kind of bookkeeping software.
mm. So what would you say is the difference between a coach and a mentor?
I think they're the same to me.
Okay.
Um, with my experience, because it always starts out as a business, but then you do end up coaching the person because sometimes they might have personal hurdles that you need to help them with.
Hmm.
Whether it's kids, relationship that's coming in between them and starting this business, or maybe they're thinking about folding on the business. So I think it's one and the same, to be honest. A coach and a mentor is really the same. But some people only mentor like a one-on-one mentorship, meaning like if you get stuck at a hurdle. But for
Hmm.
me, a business coach should be someone who can help you with the back end stuff. Like if you need help with hiring, human resources, you have difficult employees, you need to find employees, you want to know how to train them properly. If you should be in the business or work outside of the business, it's kind of, it can get confusing for people, especially when they're just starting out. So I think a coach, a real business coach should kind of guide you from the start, how to really start the business properly.
So you say you don't suggest commingling your money. What is a good, safe way? Because we all know, especially when you start a business, even if you have them separate, even if you have your personal account and your
Right.
business account,
Right.
the business account normally don't have the funds that is needed to either hire people or book
Mm-hmm.
events or
Mm-hmm.
any of that. So
Mm-hmm.
what would you suggest to someone for that? Because I
Mm-hmm.
mean, if I have 10 bands over here, but I have
Mm-hmm.
$100 over here,
Mm-hmm.
but I need to book a location that costs a
Mm-hmm.
couple $100,
Right.
you're going to want to dip into your personal to cover
Right.
your business.
Right. What you can do is, and what I tell a lot of my clients are, if you still have a 9 to 5 and a business, and for me, I still have a 9 to 5. I will never leave a 9 to 5. I don't care how many businesses I have because of tax. There's a tax strategy, but I'll get into that a little bit later. But if you have a 9 to 5 and you have a business, you can have some of your payroll go into that business, whether it's every week, every 2 weeks. You can even write a check to your business. And
Mm.
in the memo part, you put funding for the business or payroll for the business. You can write a personal check to your business to fund it, and it's fine. It's
Okay.
fine. It's really
You
fine.
just don't suggest just always dipping into your personal to cover your business,
You should
or
not.
vice versa.
You should not. You should not. You should not. And if you have a business, you should have a business bank account.
Hmm.
You should have a business bank account because when you're applying for grants and certain things, they want to see 2 years worth of bookkeeping. You can't show
Mm.
them your personal bank account
Right, right,
because
right,
that's not your bookkeeping system.
right, right. So I got you. Okay. So I'm glad I have you on
Oh, thank
for
you for
other
having
people and
me.
myself because
Thank you for
fuck,
having me.
it is hard out here in these streets.
It is. And people get a lot of wrong information. I see it every
Right.
day, all the time. Oh, all you need is an LLC and you get $50,000. Oh, no. And people
Yeah.
are falling for it. And I know people personally who pay coaches $2, $3, $4,000 and they get nothing. They're like from a half an hour call with me, they get so much information and they pay this person and they never spoke to them. They just send
Mm.
them videos or emails or I said, that's not a real coach. That's not a real
Right,
business.
right. Now, so tax preparation is a competitive
Mhm.
field.
Yes.
Um, how does SBS stands out from the crowd?
When it comes to taxes, they help. They help. But I always encourage business owners, they should learn taxes. And the reason why I say that is because as a business owner, even if someone is doing your taxes, you should be able to look at the documents and know what you're looking at. Looking at your financial statement, do you know what you're really looking for? Do you know if there's an error? Do you know if your accountant is giving you all of the right deductions? I have a lot of clients who have, I'm not a CPA, but I know just as much. And they have CPAs. And when I tell them things, they're like, but I've been with my CPA and my CPA never told me what you're telling me now. You have to know what you're looking at. You have to know what to look for.
Right.
And I think it's important for everyone, not only business owners, they should know about taxes. It's something you do every year. You can't rely on that person who's doing your taxes. Say they make a mistake. How would you even
Right.
know?
And
How
then
do you know what
then
to
you
look
get a
for?
knock on the door and a letter and talking about, yo, you owe X, Y, and Z.
I help a lot of people when they get audits. One young lady, because she has a business, her business makes like 200,000. She makes like 100,000. So I'm like, the reason why you're getting audited is because you have to change your LLC to S corp or C corp. Once a business has a profit of at least 50,000 or more, you have to restructure it because when
Mm.
you restructure it now, you're getting the better tax advantage.
So would you
And
say
a
an
lot of people
LLC
don't
is
know.
for mostly entry level? Like, okay, I know I'm
Yes.
getting a couple hundred here and there, but I'm not really pulling in some figures.
But you can start with an S corp or a C corp. It all depends. Some people start a business on a larger scale where they know, okay, from the jump, I need an S corp or a C corp. I have investors. I'm opening up chains right away. Like they already know how the business is going to flow. So that's fine. You can start it out as an S corp or a C corp. That's fine. But most people start out. LLC is kind of like the baby steps first. You should start with an LLC, and every 2 years you should revisit if it's time for a change. Like I said, if you're making 50,000 or more in profit, you should consider switching it to a S corp or a C corp. You're starting to pay payroll, put yourself on the payroll. You can deduct that. Have employees. people don't realize you can write off any and everything once you have a business, and you should be. Like everything you do should be in a business name. Your cell phone, that's another. You should always have a cell phone in your business name. Even your cable, my cable at home is in my business name. My utilities are in my business name. And guess what? I get to write that off. I even get, a lot of people are not using the home office credit. Everyone who's a business owner should be using that when it comes to tax time. That's a huge credit also. Because the IRS says you have a business, you have to be working from home at some point or another. I don't care if you're delivering newspapers on a bike. You have to be working from home to make calls to people.
Yeah. I wanted, because I heard of businesses doing this where they have vehicles not even, and most people don't even know this about like rich people. A lot of rich people are credit wealthy and cash broke. And their assets are normally not even in their name. They have it
because
in the
they use
company
debt to
name,
buy
or
debt.
right.
They use debt to buy debt.
Yeah, and
or they put it in a trust.
And
You could
us
also have a
as
trust fund running the business.
and us as Black people, it seems like when it comes to financial literacy, we are so far behind the power curve. Either you're going to have someone who's wanting to do everything 100%
Right.
correctly, and then they get called the lame,
Right.
and then you have the scammers over here,
Right.
and they buying the big
Right.
houses, the stupid cars, the jewelry, it's like being a rapper of taxes. You know what I mean? Like they want that image. And if you're not showing that, everybody else be like, oh, well, you're really not popping like that. But seems to you like
But
you want
I
to do
blame,
stuff the right way.
I blame ourselves for that, because I always use this as a reference. Like sometimes on the weekends, a Friday or a Saturday morning, you'll see people lined up in front of the sneaker store before the new sneakers come out. And I would always say, I bet you if I told them I'm having a free course about how to start a business and make money, no one would show up. They line up for hours for the newest sneakers to drop.
In rain,
But
snow,
they would
sleet,
never go to an event. If you say, look, I'm going to give you knowledge, I'm going to give you information to have a business, to make your own money, to be profitable, they would never go. They would say, oh, I'm not going to go to that. Oh, I don't want to hear nobody talk for 2 or 3 hours. But you can stand on a line for hours for sneakers that are not doing anything for you.
Right.
I'm not saying I don't like nice things too. I don't buy. I do, yes, but I'm just saying, take that $200, you can get an LLC and have an unlimited income, have a business, but they rather put their energy into something else. Not saying that designers are not all good. And that's another thing, even designers. Most times you could buy a shirt for $600. Most times they're paying pennies for that shirt and they're just slapping a label on it because they buy it called private label or white label. All shirts are the same. They just slap a different label on it. Most products are the same. They just slap a different label on it.
So I used to have a white label camming site. So that drops. What is it? Where you're shipping product, but the product's not with you. You're just, hey, I need you to fulfill this order. Drop shipping. I've done that numerous times. Yeah. There's so many different ways, especially with the age of social media. There's so many different ways to make money legit. It just takes some time, and people don't want to take the time.
Everybody should have a side business. Even if you have a good job, everyone should have a side business, even as a tax advantage. Once you're working and you have a business on the side, you get to claim all of those losses. And people don't realize it. You can make $500,000 on your job, but once you have a side business, you claim all the losses onto the business, you're able to get a refund. I've seen people make $300,000 and they get a refund back because of the side business that they have. The business may not bring in a lot, but you still get to claim all of those losses.
Okay. What's the most misconception that you hear or see when it comes to tax preparation or bookkeeping?
There's so many. People try to do it for themselves and they make mistakes. Or a lot of business owners, they wait until a couple of days before the tax deadline to try and recoup a whole year worth of bookkeeping. I do not advise that, because you're going to make mistakes. You're going to leave things out. Tax time is the same time every year. I'm working with clients now, getting them prepared for next tax season. You can't just wait until tax season to think about, oh, what did I do last year? It's impossible. I mean, I'll gladly do it, because you just have to pay me extra if you want me to go back. Some people want
it's a
to
rush
treat it
job.
like 2 years, 3 years. I'm okay with it. Once you pay me, I'll do the job. But it just doesn't make sense, because it's like you're leaving money on the table. If you have a business, you should be doing your bookkeeping either every month, even if it's every other month. And if you're not sure what you're doing, hire a professional. You may not always have
About
to
like
have it, but
the
at least
apps that's out there, like QuickBooks and stuff like that.
QuickBooks, Wave, FreshBooks, Gusto, a lot of the payroll processors services like ADP are now offering a bookkeeping service kind of linked to the payroll. So just people can Google, they can see what's out there. Even QuickBooks has a certification. You could also, be certified to be a QuickBooks advisor, and it could also help you too. There's so many things out there. I just feel sometimes people are lazy, or that's why they hire me, because they don't want to do the research. So, hey, that's what I'm here for. But you also have to do some of your own research and kind of get yourself aware of what's going on. You can't rely on an accountant, because how do you know if they're doing the right thing? You should know also. They might show you a profit and loss, but what are you looking at? Really, what are you looking at? Do you know what you're looking at?
And there's many stories from rappers, celebrities that say, hey, I had this accountant and this dude was skimming money off of the top, and I had no idea. When I find out millions is gone, I never questioned
because
it.
they create two books. There's a way you can do two books.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So they show
That's
you
how.
this.
Mm-hmm. Because you don't know what you're looking at. All people do, they just look at the balance. Oh, I have 50,000 in this account. Okay, I'm good. But maybe you really have 300,000, because they're just showing you one book. You could have 2 or 3 different books.
Damn, it's scary out here.
It is. It is.
Yeah. Okay, so I know you talked about S Corp, C Corp, LLC. So how important is the proper business formation, and what are some pitfalls entrepreneurs often overlook?
I would say they often overlook changing their business structure once it reaches a certain profit margin. Like I said, once it hits 50,000, you should no longer be an LLC. You should not be. You should not be, because you're going to get a better tax advantage once you change it to S Corp or C Corp, because now you're putting yourself on payroll. Even if you don't have employees, it just looks better when you do that. And you could, you're saving on taxes. If you have employees, it's great. You could also hire your children. A lot of people don't realize that you have 3, 4 kids, put everybody on the payroll. You could say they're shredding papers. And it's tax-free money when you set up like IRAs and different things for the kids. It's tax-free because you're employing your children. If you're married, you put your spouse on payroll. These are things that other communities do to build wealth, but we're not doing it because you're trying to tell them, but they're not listening.
So is that often frustrating to you?
Yes. I was to the point where I wanted to give up, because I would feel like maybe people are not taking me serious, or maybe because I'm a woman, or maybe because I'm Black. I just felt like maybe other nationalities, when they're doing the same thing like me, they believe them more. And I'm like, why is that?
Yeah.
And I felt
it's like going to a Black hairstylist and going to someone else. They'd be like, oh, I'm gonna buy this wig for $1,000, but you like, I got the same wig over here, but it's $200.
And a lot of people would pick my brain, and then they're like, oh, okay, I already have a tax person. I just wanted to know how to explain to them how to do something. So why are you picking my brain, but you already have someone? That irks me. I'm good enough to get the information that you want to give to your tax professional, but you don't want me to do your taxes for you. So, and that was kind of, nerve-wracking this tax season. A lot of people reach out to me with questions.
That's when you
I'm
just
thinking they want to be a client.
chop someone in the throat.
Yeah, I'm thinking they want to be a client, and I'm like, yeah, I can help you. And they're like, oh no, I have somebody already. I just want to explain to them what to do. So I'm like, if you have to explain to your tax person what to do, that's not a good tax professional to have. Not saying that I know everything, but
no, I had where people approached me about camera work or camera settings, and I'm da da da, and I'm like, okay, well maybe they have booked me for my services since I'm knowledgeable in said task, and then you see them go over to Billy Joe over here, and what I was charging is cheap in comparison to what Billy Joe is charging, but they will willingly pay it over there, and I'm like, all right, yeah. So now when people ask me, I'll be like, oh, okay, so my consultation fee is this.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've been there. Sure. I've definitely
people always want a
definitely
discount, or they always want it for free.
No, right. And then it's like, but now when you spend the block on them, they want you to give them full rate or pay them the full rate. All right. Sorry, folks, we are having a little technical difficulties, but we're back.
We're back.
I guess both areas are having storms right now, which is crazy because we're very vastly apart.
Yes.
What's one piece of advice you would have for a new entrepreneur trying to start a business?
I would definitely say do your research on the business that you want or the field that you want to go into. Take a class. There's a lot of free entrepreneurial classes. Hire a coach, hire a mentor, get some guidance before you even get that LLC. It just makes the process more clear.
Okay.
Even before you get the LLC, sometimes you may not. Yeah. Because maybe the name may not be right, or there's certain NACIS codes, you may not be using the right code. So, speak to a professional first before you even get the LLC.
So when I first started my business years ago, when I got into this field, I had it under my name, what I call myself. And as I got into it, I was like, everything has this name attached to it. I want some mystery where if I use this name, no one knows what it's tied to because it's so obscured from anything that I have going on.
Right.
So I went back, I let that one go, and I went and created the whole new one. And I like this one because when you see it, you don't know it's just some Roman numeral name. Like you don't know what it means.
You have people guessing, yes.
Yeah.
You have people guessing, yes.
Versus them saying, oh, this is this over here, that's that over there. Now you don't know what this is. So even sometimes when I write a check or I send money, to bookings and stuff, it doesn't have my name attached to it.
Right. That's true. People should think along those lines also. Have something that's unique where people are gonna want to say, hey, what kind of business is that?
Listen, I've seen some be like Joey Trucking Service. You'd be like, oh, you own a trucking service. They'd be like, how did you know? It says it right here on this LLC. Like, there's no creativity whatsoever.
Yes.
It's right here.
Yes. That is true. Yes, that is true.
All right. So we're going to go ahead and take a little break and hear words from our sponsors. Then we're going to come back because I actually, not only for me, right? Because I could definitely say I'm not where I feel I should be as far as this goes.
Right.
But also for the listeners as well, because like you said, there is a lot of misinformation. Some people think, oh, I start an LLC, I instantly get some money, I could get business credit, I could do this, I could do that.
Right.
Then the world is mine to do as I wish. And it's like those things can happen, but it's a process to them.
Yes.
So I am glad we are having this this talk. But we're going to
Yes.
take a little break and we're going to be right.
Alrighty.
And today's sponsor is Motivate Image. Go to Motivate Image on Instagram at Motivate Image. That's MOTIV8 Image on Instagram, also TikTok, or you can find everything that they have going on at Linktree/Motivate Image. They predominantly do boudoir. However, they also do silhouette, bodyscape, fashion. Go ahead, go to Linktree/Motivate Image and book with them today. Welcome, we're back. Whatever by Hektek. We're having a real conversation. Like I said, we normally have some wildness on
Business
here.
gets
But
wild too.
true. Has your experience as a tax expert given you a unique perspective on managing personal finances for yourself? And care
Yes.
to explain?
Yes, definitely. From a tax point of view, you get to see, like, from doing taxes, people have investments, people have annuities, people have 401ks. And it's like, these are really, if your job has a 401k, annuity, different stock, you should really be investing in it. Some people say, oh, I don't want to take 5% out of my check every week or every 2 weeks. Long term, it's a great investment for you. You really should be. You can even have a solo 401k. Even if you're a business owner, you could invest in your own 401k. It's really beneficial when you're working that you have something in place where you could get something from later on. IRAs, stocks, bonds, annuities, mutual funds. You should really be investing. And the younger you start it, the better off for you. Even if it's not for retirement, you could borrow that money if you want to get a home. Sometimes you have sometimes if you want to adopt a kid, there's certain credits, certain ways where you could take the money without getting penalized for it.
No, I'm heavy into stocks. And I remember
Yeah.
working this. I was a grocery stocker overnight,
Oh,
and
goodness.
this guy was from Rhode Island, so he'd be like, "Yeah, bacon." I'd be like, "What?" He'd be like, "The bacon aisle." I'm like, "Oh, you're talking about baking?
Baking,
Okay, okay, yeah, and go pop the car in the yard, like all that, right?" But he was very, very into stocks. I'm 18,
Yeah.
19. I don't care about nothing you talking about. You know what I mean?
Right.
Because what you
Right.
talking about, I ain't there yet.
Right.
And I kick myself in the ass every day because okay. I purchased Netflix when they still sent DVDs through the mail.
Yep. Yep. hmm
And I wish I would have bought their stocks because,
You would have been a
I would have been
billionaire right now. You would have been a billionaire right now.
sitting stupid. So now I talked to a young dude a couple days ago, and I'm like, listen, whatever you're into, whether it's sneakers, clothes,
I
whatever,
tell people that all the time. Make money from it.
look at that stock option and start
Yes.
purchasing it because you're
Yes.
already using the product.
You're buying all these brand names, Gucci, all these things. Invest in their stock. It's like you're gonna get your money back.
Mm-hmm. And I hope he listens, but I also know how I was at that age as
Yeah, you're not
well.
listening. Yeah, you don't listen.
But now I'm doing penny stocks, I'm doing big boy stocks, I'm doing whatever it is. Now I can't read the stock market like a day trader. I know enough, right? I know
Right,
enough
right,
to be
right,
able to do what I need to do. But
right,
listen,
right.
I just took out, some stacks, a couple just to pay off some credit cards. I'm like, these they're getting kind of high. Let me go ahead and knock
Mm-hmm,
this down real quick. One
mm-hmm,
time before, took out some stocks to
mm-hmm,
purchase a car. Like people don't
mm-hmm.
realize there's stuff to move money around to do what you need to do, but you got to have it there to be able to use it.
Right, right, right. And also, when you leave a job, never cash in that 401k. Just roll it over.
I
Never
make
cash it
that
in
mistake.
because you pay so many penalties because it's like an early withdrawal on that
Mm-hmm.
money. Always roll it
Yeah,
over into something else or just leave it. Never cash
just
it in.
do it. Yeah.
Mhm.
How do you stay updated on the the constant tax changes?
I actually go on the IRS website maybe 2 to 3 times per week, and I think everybody should because there's
Okay.
always updates with the IRS, just anything financial. Just take a look at the IRS website at least once a week.
Mm,
And just Google, also
right.
Google, even the internet,
GBT?
yeah, yeah. Chat, yeah, get an app on your phone that deals with stocks, the S&P. Just look, even if you don't know what you're looking at, read it. There's information there. You have to, that's how I keep myself on top of
There
what's
was
happening.
Listen, there was one stock I kicked
Hmm.
myself in the butt because it dropped
Hmm.
drastically. It was Nike, and
Yeah.
I was watching it heavy, and
Hmm. Hmm.
I was like, if it drops below 75,
Hmm.
I'm
Hmm.
getting it. I
Yeah.
don't think it got to 75. It got
Right.
close,
It
and
was
because it didn't
dropping.
get this
Yeah.
man, and then as soon as we kind of leveled out, it shot right back up. I was like,
Yeah. That
oh
happens a lot. I know. I know that happens a lot. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. That
All right.
happens.
What is there a memorable story of a time that you helped a client that was just probably on their last leg and you came in and you kind of helped reformat their whole platform and system? Now they're out here thriving and doing their thing.
Yes, yes, that was actually this past tax season. I helped a gentleman, he was making a certain amount of money. And then he's like, I always pay back. I said, don't worry, let me look at it. I actually got him a refund. Then he just so happened to get laid off from his job. So I was like, use that severance pay. Let's start a business. He said, no, I'm not working. I said, listen, let's do it. You said you wanted to start a business before. Now is the perfect time. Don't worry about you being, do it. Now he has a profitable trucking business that he always wanted. He has like 4 trucks out there making money.
Did
He
all
thanks
this
me
in a
every
year.
day. I did his taxes in March, and right now he has like 4 trucks. He's about to open up another business, like a junk removal business now. But he has like 4 trucks, just different taking equipment in different states, taking loads to different states.
Oh
Hmm.
wow.
So now he doesn't have to look for a job.
All right.
He was depressed about being laid off, and I told him, yeah, you're laid off, you may get unemployment, but still start that business. Don't let it stop you. Don't let it stop you.
So hypothetically, not
Hmm.
really, but we
Hmm.
going hypothetical.
Hmm.
What advice would you give a videography photography business? Because there's numerous of them out here running the streets and making a ruckus. Like, what would you say to them if they were struggling or not making the the I say they're doing okay, but they're not where they should be. What advice would you give?
You have to think outside of the box. You have to say to yourself, how can I make myself more marketable? If you're good at photography, if you're good at pictures, start a class. Do an online class, do an Eventbrite, partner up with other people, speak at events. I speak at a lot of events. You have to get yourself out there. Do work for free. I've done endless. I no longer coach for free, but I have,
Yeah,
and it
yeah,
helped.
yeah.
You have to get yourself out there. You can't stay home and say, oh, nobody's booking me. No one knows who you are.
Right. Well,
No one knows your work.
you often have people be like, "Oh, I know my worth," but I often have to tell people there's a difference between your personal work, how you feel about yourself personally, and your
Right,
business work.
right.
Those are two
Sometimes it's
separate
two different
things.
things. Sometimes it's two
Hmm.
different things.
Yeah,
Two
yeah.
different things,
Because
and
you
it's
can have
also
a high
how,
esteem about yourself, but that business ain't really doing what it needs to be doing.
yeah, yeah. And another point, people have to think about how they interact with potential clients or customers. I go to a lot of pop-up shops, a lot of markets. I would go to somebody's table, say hello. They would look at me like I have 4 heads, but then you expect me to buy your product or your service.
Hmm.
Why would I buy a product or service for you when I come to your table and you're looking at me like I have four heads? I ask you a question. You tell me, oh, you could go on the website. The prices are there.
That
Why would I buy from you?
right,
And then you claim no one's buying from you. Maybe it's your customer service. It's how you treat people. You have to treat people the same whether on the phone or in person. I treat my
right,
clients the same.
right. No, I had a situation. So my industry is it's whatever. But
Mm-hmm.
so I met someone who I would say I probably looked up to, right? Or
Mm-hmm.
not necessarily looked up to, but whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And I was talking to someone in the same field, and you could kind of tell, like, if you were talking to another tax person,
Right.
other tax people kind of know you know what I mean, you
Yeah.
belong,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So I turned to the young lady. I'm like, hey, I just want to let you know, I'm a big fan of yours, type of deal. And
Mm-hmm.
she stopped and she looked me up and down. She's like, oh, okay.
Yeah. That happens. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Instantly in my head, I was like, you would never have to worry about me ever again in life. And there's been times that full circle, people have booked me to go and do stuff for her, and I'm like, nah, I'm good. They might, but the
Mm-hmm.
money, I'm good. I'm
Yeah.
good.
I'd rather turn it down. I'd rather turn it
Mhm.
down.
I'm good. So for
Mm-hmm.
me, when I have people, whether it's from here or my other ventures, I tell
Mm-hmm.
people all the time, if you see me out, I don't care who I'm talking to, come up and say
Mm-hmm.
hi. I might not remember you, you know what I mean,
Mm-hmm.
or whatever,
Mm-hmm.
but come and say hi because without you, I ain't making no money.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah,
You
it,
know?
it, it happens. It happened to me. So, like, people primarily knew me as being a business coach, having the podcast. And then when I started with the makeup, they were like, but aren't you a business coach? And I'm like, yeah, but I also do have a makeup company too. And you could
Yeah.
tell they're like, I know they're not going to support, but that's fine.
Do you
That's fine.
often find that it's mostly strangers that support versus the people that are closest to you?
Strangers.
Strangers?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Stranger. Strangers give you the most support because their support and they're genuine. If they tell you they
Mhm.
like something, they like something.
Mhm.
They're not going to sugarcoat it. Your family might say, yeah, yeah, I like it, but they really don't. But a
Right,
stranger's going
right.
to give you their honest opinion.
All right. So what made you venture? I mean, you're still doing everything. You're a jack of all trades. But what
Hmm.
made you venture into the makeup lane?
Makeup is a billion-dollar industry. And I've always had a love for makeup. I used to sell Mary Kate back in the day. So I've always had a love for makeup. So I said, it's time I could do my own thing. And, it doesn't matter how many other companies are out there, there's always room for somebody to make money. And to be honest,
Mhm.
that business does well over all my other businesses. The makeup is always selling. I go to a few
Really?
events, people reorder. Yeah, yeah. If they tell a friend, they order. Yeah, even if I go to a speaking event about taxes or business, I bring some samples with me. I bring, so yeah, I'm always
So
getting new
you're a whole
customers.
one-stop shop. I could get you
Yeah,
dolled up and do your taxes in the same breath.
yeah. Why not? Yeah,
That is dope. That is dope. Any other
yeah.
ventures that you're looking to get into or invest into?
Uh, So many. I'm hoping to open up a smoothie bar in the future.
Okay.
Smoothie bar and maybe a beauty bar.
Okay.
That's about it. Like maybe like a boutique. You could do your makeup, you could do your nails, you could do your hair, you could shop all in one. Something like
Right.
that. But in the near future.
Got you. Got you.
Mhm.
What that's your 5-year plan?
Yes. Yes. Yes, yes. But maybe for next year, I'm looking into getting office space to do taxes and like have classes and stuff like that. That's what I'm looking into right now for next year.
Okay.
Hmm.
So a everyone feels this space is easy. Everyone feels that you get your camera, you get your computer, you get yourself a mic, you get yourself a soundboard, you
It's
get
not
on here,
easy.
you talk about some stuff, and The fans are just going to eat you up. The money's going to turn around. The ad revenue is going to be around the corner. They feel this is an easy platform. So, what made you go ahead and decide to get into the podcasting world? And how has that journey been for you overall?
Okay, well, originally I started out on a show called The Gallery. That I'm still connected to them, but I branched off. So being on that show it's been around almost 10 years now. So, from being a host on that show, I got the whole feel of the whole radio podcasting world. And I was really just supposed to be a guest for one show, and then it turned into 10 years later, being full time on the show. And it's
Oh,
something that I
wow.
enjoyed. Yeah, I enjoyed and I love, behind the scenes, getting artists, getting guests on the show. I enjoyed that part of it. And then I said, it's time I do my own thing, with the podcast. But it's not easy. Even with the podcast, I'm kind of revamping now to come back out. I'm hoping to come back out maybe September and revamp that and just do what I love. I love to give people information. I love to give people a platform because I think it's very important that we give people a platform, whether it's a book, whether it's a business, whether they just have a story to tell, and everyone has a story to tell.
I'm not even gonna hold you. When you reached out and was like, "Yo, yeah, me," and I was like, "Word? Have you not
Yeah.
seen my show?"
Listen, there's ratchetness in everything in the business world. Oh goodness, please.
Uh,
Yeah, there's
yeah.
yeah,
No,
yeah.
but you are definitely the demo ish that I am trying to, because I got the other side. I'm
Right,
locked
right,
in on
right,
that side, and
right.
I'm bored of it. I'm bored of asking the same stupid like, "Oh, how did you get into the?" Yeah, I'm tired of it because it's like
Hmm.
it's very far in between and few that
Hmm.
have a real interesting story that I'm like, oh shit, that's really dope. Okay, cool.
Right.
You taking
Yeah.
this money, you flipping it into this. Tell me
Yeah.
more. You know
Yeah.
what?
Yeah. You're right. Yeah.
Everything you talk to me about,
Yeah.
I've been like, uh,
It
you
seems
know,
interesting. Yeah. 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 I get
you
that
see what I'm
too from
saying?
people. I get that from
Yeah.
a lot of people. They're like, oh, I thought about financial stuff as boring before, but the way you bring it to life, it's like, I'm interested now. I want to hear more. I want to learn more. And I think you can make anything fun, you know, because it does
I,
get kind of boring.
I don't know. I don't know if that one guy from the what's the eye drop commercial. I don't know if I can hear him talk about no financial. I'll be sleep. I'll be knocked out
You
sleep.
never know. You never know. Maybe if you watch it a couple of times, you can it will
Him,
grow on
him,
you.
Morgan Freeman, um, and Barack Obama. I'm not saying they have bad voices. It's just so soothing that I'll be
Mhm.
like, the house will be cold. I'll wrap myself up in a
And
blanket.
go to
I'm like,
sleep.
I'll be knocked out.
Yeah.
I'll be knocked out. So, how do you make your podcast fun and because of the subject matter, what you're talking about,
Mhm.
keep it
Mhm.
engaging?
I try to use real life situations, real life examples. Sometimes they're funny, sometimes they're not. I think that's how I spice up my show. I try to use real life examples. I use myself a lot of times. I've made flubs. I'm still making flubs as I go along. So, that
Right.
makes it more real. That makes it more enjoyable. I can't just say to everyone, yes, and I save every penny and I've never paid a bill late. No, that's not reality. I
Yeah.
like to be transparent. I think that makes for better content, no matter what it is. When you're transparent about things, I can't say, "Oh, I've never paid a bill late," or "I've never." We've all been there. I just
Right.
try to use real life scenarios to make it fun.
Yeah. My goal is to make sure most of my bills, I say 85% of my bills, are
Uh-huh.
paid at the beginning of the month. The
But how
rest
many
I can.
payments? How many payments do you make on your bills per month? You should be really making two payments,
I heard because of the interest rates.
and it will shoot your credit score sky high if you make two payments. You make a payment 15 days before, and you make a payment 3 to 4 days before your due date. So it
I'm
was
talking
short.
about rent. I'm talking about rent stuff. Like,
Oh, okay, okay. I thought you meant like credit
yeah,
card stuff. Okay, that is fine. Yeah, that is fine. Yeah,
yeah.
but like
Now,
credit
but I
stuff,
am gonna
loans.
I am gonna start doing the credit thing that way because I just refinanced my car. So I have the money that I got from the other lender back. So I'm gonna go ahead and knock that out. And then
Is your
I'm still
car in
gonna
your
pay,
business name?
unfortunately not.
You
Because
know,
I don't have any
you know,
business
cars are
credit.
cheaper in a business name. You know that, and you could write off the payments.
Yeah, I know. I know. But like I said, this is stuff that I'm still learning because I don't
Mhm.
have the business credit to be able to, my credit is great.
So
Business,
why haven't you started your business credit?
um, great question because I always feel okay, because I hate these hard inquiries. I'm not even gonna hold you. And I feel
Yeah,
like
but
they have to use,
a business inquiry is on your business, not on your personal.
but
Two
I
different
heard,
things.
okay, here's a probably a false narrative. I heard to start a business credit, sometimes they have to use your credit to start the business credit.
No, incorrect. Incorrect. When you start your business credit, you get what's called a DUNS number. You have your DUNS number?
Oh.
A DUNS number is a 9-digit, quote unquote, your business's social. That's
Oh,
where
the
you start.
EIN?
No, a DUNS number, DUNS and Bradstreet. That's different from your EIN number.
Okay.
A DUNS number is where you start your business credit. And from your DUNS number, you generate what's called a PAYDEX score. A PAYDEX
Mm,
score is like your credit score. And it all revolves around how many 90, 30, 60, or 90-day credit accounts you have, business loans, business credit cards. That's where they hold all of these scores. And you get a monthly report of how it's going. Like there's an Experian business reporting agency.
hmm.
And in order to be considered a good risk as far as being a business, your PAYDEX score has to be at least 80 and above. Your PAYDEX score can be either a 1 to 100. Anything that's 80 and above is considered a good risk. So when businesses are looking or banks are looking to give you a business loan, that's what they look at your PAYDEX score. But some things do use your personal, or they may ask you for a PG, a personal guarantor, depending on what it is, where they will pull your personal credit.
Yeah. And I didn't want that. I have enough hard inquiries on my
It
person.
depends on what you're applying for. Sometimes they pay personal credit, sometimes they don't. It all depends on what you're applying for.
You just made me
That's
feel
why
really
I
dumb.
encourage people to apply for grants, apply to pitch. I've won pitch competitions. It's free money. Grants is free money.
Yeah.
Apply, you know.
Yeah.
But when you try to go to the SBA for a loan, your stuff has to be in order. You have to have all
Mm,
your business tax returns. You have to show them your account, how you do your bookkeeping, how you do your payroll. Everything has to be on point.
mm.
That's the only difference. You can't go to
Yeah.
them and say, "Oh, I have a Cash App." Mm-mm.
Now I do have, so I do say I have a business bank that I've had for a couple years now.
Okay.
So I am not that bad as far when people be like, yeah, send me the money to cash. I'm like, you don't have a bank? Like I could
Yeah, yeah. I'm like,
I,
what? Yeah.
I, how do you pay for stuff? And they pull out the Cash App card. I'm like, wait, what?
You know what I'm going to tell you? You know why a lot of people do not have bank accounts? And you might say to yourself, why don't you have a bank account? People can be on what's called checks systems. And that means they've had a bank account, maybe they overdrew it, never paid back the bank, they had fraudulent activity on a bank account, and they put them on a registry called checks systems or telecheck. That's
Mm,
why sometimes when people go to the bank now and they try to open up a bank account, they get declined
mm,
because that's where banks hold your history with them. So if you went to Bank of America and you overdrew your account by $1,000 and you never paid them,
and
they're
you
going to put
ran
you on
off.
check
Yeah.
systems. And now you're on check systems for 5 years. Even if you pay that debt with the bank, That's why a lot of people, they're not going to tell you. That's why a lot of people do not have bank accounts because they cannot open up a bank account.
Yeah. So I'm lucky and fortunate. I've been with Bank of America
Mm-hmm.
for 23 years.
Mm-hmm.
And then, like I said, I just got this business account who's a totally different, separate
Mm-hmm.
entity as themselves.
Mm-hmm.
So I am doing I think it's for me, it's the fine tuning of my business and my business tax and my business practices, right? Because of the
Mm-hmm.
industry that I'm at, it's so weird.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and hence why a lot of the times I am steering away from it because I like, no, I want to invest in some tangible stuff
Mm-hmm.
to create the generational wealth because
Mm-hmm.
I can hand cameras to future generations, but I need something more. I want something more. And like
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I'm not necessarily looking to walk away from guaranteed money to
Right.
just I'm gonna just willy nilly this. Like,
Yeah.
nah,
Yeah.
I ain't
Yeah.
built like that. I would stress myself out. You know
Right.
what I mean?
Right. Right. Right.
So I like the guaranteed income
Mm-hmm.
that I have coming in. I like
Mm-hmm.
having multiple sources of income coming in.
Me
So
too. That's
even
why I would never leave a 9 to 5. A lot of times coaches would tell people, "Oh, you want to start a business, leave your job." You better not. I will never leave a 9 to 5. I don't care how many businesses I have, because I'd rather have steady income than no income.
I don't listen. I
I don't advise people to leave their job. You could have 10 businesses and still have a 9 to 5. You make it work.
I now I have said if I make a certain amount, and that's
Mm-hmm.
what I'm making now. If I make a certain amount,
Mm-hmm.
okay, cool, I can leave that. But
Mm-hmm.
it has to be consistent.
Yeah. Some people that make $500, oh, I'm leaving my job. But then for the next 3 months,
Facts.
you make zero. Doesn't make sense. You can do both.
I've told models the same thing, with
Yeah.
how supply and demand works. You charge
Yeah.
someone $1,000, but you don't work for 6 months.
Right.
Like $166
You
versus you
never,
taking these
yeah.
smaller jobs on a
Mm-hmm.
more consistent basis. You're gonna make more than you.
Yeah.
I don't get people. I don't understand. I've had jobs where my bulk of the job I got paid X amount of dollars, and someone's like,
Right.
"Hey, I need to book you," and I'm like, "All right, well, here's my rate." They'd be like, "Well, I don't necessarily have that, but I have this." Shit, I'm in the neighborhood. Fuck it, run it.
Yeah.
Just know
Yeah.
this is a not all the time situation.
Right. Right. Exactly. Exactly. You better not leave that 9 to 5. I don't care if it's full time or it's part time. I never advise people to leave their 9 to 5 to start a business. No, don't do it.
So
It's not good.
if someone did want to leave their 9 to 5, what advice would you give them?
They, if they want to leave their 9 to 5,
Yeah,
they better
yeah.
have at least 6 months to a year worth of bill money saved up.
Mhm.
And depending on the business that they want to have, let's say you want to have a storefront, you want to have a boutique. A lot of times people are not thinking, you still have to pay that rent for that boutique, whether you're making money or not. If you have an employee, you still have to pay them whether you're making money or not. That's why I tell
Mhm.
people before you start these kind of businesses, get the money for at least 6 months, 3 to 6 months ahead of time. If it means getting
Right.
a business loan, if it means getting a personal loan to have that money ready, that's why a lot of times you would see a business. In my area, it happens a lot. You see a business this month, the next 3 months is closed.
No, I've seen that.
You have to
Um,
plan.
I'm even seeing of course we're in the same spaces, so I'm seeing
Hmm.
these
Hmm.
podcasts that was
Hmm.
making stupid amount of money,
Hmm. Hmm.
so they branched out too quickly. And now that same money that they might have been making during COVID ain't there no more. People ain't tuning
Everything is
in like they
different.
were.
Everything is different. Everything is different. Every industry has seen a decrease. Every industry. The beauty industry, hairdressers are now doing other things. They're moving into other career fields. They're teaching it because Booth rent is what, $250, $300 a week for a chair.
Mm-hmm.
That's a lot of money to
Mm-hmm.
pay if you have no clientele. And then a lot of them, they have no skills how to build their clientele.
Mm-hmm.
People aren't just going to come to you. How are you getting that clientele? Barbers, you pay a lot of money for this booth rent. Nails, you pay a lot of money for these suites.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
I used to even for my photo shoots for clients, I would book the
Mm-hmm.
location, do blah blah blah,
Mm-hmm.
and then the problem was, yeah, even if you get a deposit, right, which is
Mm-hmm.
whatever,
Mm-hmm.
sometimes the deposit don't even cover what you paid for the location. You know what I mean? That's
Exactly.
just
You still got to put your own
so
money.
right. So now, oh, you want to shoot? I have to shoot with you a couple times in my home studio before we.
Right.
I'm not spending money going out here.
Right. Right.
I'm not even gonna hold you. Just this week, I've been talking to two models just this week. Well, for the past say month on
Mm-hmm.
shoots for just this week.
Mm-hmm.
Both of them canceled.
Yeah, it happens. It happens. It happens to me too. Clients book for a
Mm-hmm.
coaching session, they never show. That's why you have to pay before. Because I would be waiting. I'm on the Zoom. I'm waiting for them. They never show up now.
Right.
Because when they pay for that session, they're gonna show up.
Fact. And I always
They're
heard
gonna
that,
show
right?
up. Mm-hmm.
People will pay for the things that they want.
That's right.
So if you say, "Oh, I really, 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 really want to learn how to build my business credit,"
Right.
oh,
Right.
you either put up or shut up.
That's right. Yeah. And I always use the
Because
sneakers as an example. The same way you would go out there and spend $200 and $300 on a pair of sneakers, spend $200 or $300 to build your business credit or start a business or learn ways that you can budget better or save better or it's an investment. Anything, any way you look at it. But buying those $200 or $300 sneakers, is that making you money? No. Buying that
I
$600 pair of shoes is not making you money.
I have got this past year because I moved to a new state, new city.
Mm-hmm.
So my goal for the year was to look at stuff. I'm trying not to buy stuff that's not going to make me okay.
All righty.
Anyways,
Mhm.
so I'm to the point now I don't want to buy anything that doesn't have the potential to make me money or like I have reptiles, like that's my thing.
Mhm.
The reptiles that I'm invested in has potentials to make me money, right? From breeding, so you know what I mean, stuff like that, right?
So you should set up a business where you could write off all of those things. A
Me
reptile
and you are gonna
business.
talk. I'm not even gonna hold you. Me and you gonna talk because I need to get shit straight. Because
Yeah.
I've been doing okay, but
Mhm. You could
I
do
feel
better.
like yeah, yeah. And I think, it's like AA. The first step is a menu. You have a,
Yeah.
you know? So
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
definitely, listen, we definitely gonna have to have you on again
Oh, sure.
because
Anytime. Anytime. Let me know. Anytime.
this was just, I didn't know how the conversation was going to go because,
I know. I like to just go with the flow. Let it flow.
but we're definitely going to have you on because I'm
Okay.
sure the guests, I'm not the guests, but I'm sure the fans
Come
are
on,
going to have
guys.
more
Say you want
questions.
me back. Say you want me back.
Yes, definitely,
Please.
definitely say you want her back. So we're
Yeah.
going to go ahead and wrap this up because we having all kind of issues, right? And I don't like that. Um, Go ahead and tell the people where they can
Yeah.
find you at and how they can reach you.
All right. Sure. They can reach me on Instagram. They can reach me at Stacey Talks Money podcast. Also Stacey underscore business underscore services. My phone number is 929-489-9297. Please only call me for business purposes. Please. Thank you. I have to put that disclaimer because
No,
yeah,
no,
that's a whole
no.
nother show. I think we need to do a show about when people always want to mix bit like. Please only call me for business purposes.
No, we will. You know what? We are going to do that show. Okay,
Yeah,
so
yeah, yeah.
I might have you
I
come
have
back
some
on for
stories.
July.
I got stories for that for
I
days.
might have you come back on for July because July's
Yeah,
not super booked right now. Or
yeah,
I
yeah.
got you. I got you. Just be like, yo, Tech, we need to talk about mixing business with pleasure.
Oh
I got a
yes.
whole
Ah,
slew of things. Yes.
yeah,
All right.
yeah.
So we're already gonna have her back, but yes, y'all
Yes.
get in the comments. Y'all say no. I want more knowledge with Stacey. I need to
Or any
know.
topics you want me to talk about, put it in the comments.
Yeah, I need to know what I need to know because I don't know
Yeah,
what I don't know. Right?
right,
Because I
right. There's
didn't
no
know
stupid
half of the stuff.
questions. There's
Like,
no stupid
listen, when you were
questions.
talking, I'm like, oh, go ahead, put me up on game. Like, I don't
Yeah,
know. Right?
yeah, yeah,
All right.
yeah,
So this is whatever by Hektek. I know we used to start on just the adult stuff and da da da. Y'all can see I'm really trying to get some guests in here that's going to really
yeah,
talk and help and guide into other stuff, right?
yeah.
So if y'all want more stuff like this, run them views up, like, subscribe, hit the notification bell, go to HD Nation on YouTube, do all that, right? Because it's very important for us to get this kind of knowledge out here because a lot of our people are just so far
Yes.
behind the power curve that now
Mm-hmm.
you have people that's out here willing to
Mm-hmm.
guide and help you. Why
Yep.
not take advantage? If she was a scammer with big old chains and all this other stuff, y'all be like,
Yeah.
yo, she got the sauce.
Yep. Or half naked. That's
Yeah,
another thing too. Mm-hmm.
she has the sauce. Now you can tell just by hearing her. So why
Yeah.
not? Why
Right.
not tune in and do all this? We're definitely gonna have you back. Thank you for
No,
this
thank you
time.
so much.
Um, and we're gonna sign off. Remember, keep those close that are close to you, keep those loyal that are loyal to you, and don't do anything that you just don't want to do. And with that, we are out.